Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lily Grace Lifestyle Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Abby Stuart, and she is here today to talk about her freelancing, photography, graphic design, and her life in general. So can you please tell us what is one thing that defines your lifestyle?
My lifestyle is definitely defined as always on the move. There's very rarely a moment where I am standing still or relaxing, which can be negative at times, but I probably wouldn't have it any other way.
No, oh my gosh, we're the same person already because I can totally understand that. Like today or yesterday, I think after I got my first vaccine was the first day I like literally did nothing because I had to, but like I am so on the go too. So I totally get that. I love it. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background?
So I am 30 years old. I am originally from a small town called Deering, New Hampshire, which has about 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Um, I've lived there my whole life until recently. Probably a couple weeks ago. That's about the longest I've been on the coast so far, but it's great. I've been super creative ever since I was a kid. It runs in my family. My mom is creative. My aunt is creative. My cousin is an artist. And literally all the women in my family are so creative. And I think I was the first one to go to school for it. So that
Wow.
was pretty cool. Yeah. And so it took me a little while to get there. I definitely didn't think I was creative when I went into college. I went for education, like most people do, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it took a little convincing, but sophomore year, my mom convinced me to try graphic design, and I haven't looked back.
Wow, that's incredible. Where did you go to school?
I went to Keene State College.
Nice.
I started at Johnson State College in Vermont, which actually is not a school anymore, but all of my friends had graduated and I wasn't finding what I wanted there. And so I transferred to Keene, which was much closer to home. And
Mhm.
I commuted there every day and I did graphic design. And it was the best decision I ever made.
That is so cool. I love to hear people's backgrounds and their stories of how they kind of got where they are. And I can't wait to hear about your business in general. But first of all, I'm a dog lover myself. And I know on your Instagram it says dog lover. What type of dog do you have?
I have a golden retriever and her name
Oh,
is Piper and she's
oh,
5.
I love that. That's so cute. Piper, I love that. I have 3 dogs, or it's my family dogs. I have 2 black labs and then a pug named Snoopy.
Oh my God, dogs are the cutest.
I know. No, I love that. I just, anyone who has dogs, I'm like totally connected already. But
Yeah.
can you talk to us about how you got into graphic design and photography? Like it sounded like you got into graphic design first, but then how did that kind of lead to other ventures?
So I got into graphic design first. That is true. Like I said, I originally went to school for early childhood education.
Mhm.
And I think what really drew me to that was they constantly got to do like crafts and games and stuff like that. And I wanted to create them. And all through high school, I would like make t-shirts for our teams and like groups and stuff. And I would design them and draw them by hand with like that bubble paint for
Yeah.
shirts. And so that's when like my mom was like, you've been creative your whole life, you just don't realize it.
Hmm.
So after that, I just started doing photography like with a point and shoot camera with my friends. It wasn't like, oh, I should do this for business. I just did it for fun.
Yeah.
And then like 9 years ago, my parents bought me my first DSLR and it was game over after that. And I can't stop doing either one of them.
I love that. And I love that you said you started off with doing something that you just kind of were naturally gravitated towards and then you loved
Yeah.
it and you didn't even think about doing it as a business. Because when I was super young, I just loved to repaint my room, redo everything. I'm an interior designer. And then I never even thought, I was like, oh my gosh, this can actually be my career. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
weird that you get paid to do something that you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, literally. Like, I feel like in some people's head, it's like not even possible, but it's like so good to hear these stories because it's like
Yeah.
so true. Like, you can seriously do what you love and turn it into your everyday life.
Yeah,
um,
it's so cool.
so that is awesome. So, you obviously went to school for graphic design. Did you have a class in school to learn photography, or are you kind of more self-taught?
So this one is a fun story. I took photography in high school for fun. We did film photography, and I actually failed it. I was too shy to present any of my work. I was like a sophomore in a class of seniors, and I was way too shy. So they failed me for not presenting any of my work.
Mm.
And then in college, I took another film photography class, and I had fun with it, but it didn't really amount to much.
Yeah.
And then digital photography is where so all of that was self-taught, along with the help from a lot of other photographers.
That's so cool.
I did a lot of second shooting for other photographers and weddings and stuff. And it was amazing. It was so much easier than YouTube.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. It's so cool to have specific like mentors and stuff. Like, can you share some of their names maybe, or just some of the experiences?
Yeah, for sure. So I first started second shooting with Christine Tilley. She is out of Henniker, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
It was years and years ago when I first got my DSLR. I didn't get paid for it. I just came with her to learn. And then at my last graphic design job, we had a photographer in the office for products. And he said, "Oh, I heard that you did wedding photography." And I was like, "I try. I second shoot, but I'm definitely not on my own yet." And then he asked me to second shoot with him, and I did. And the very first wedding I did with him, I kept learning even more. And I was like, "Oh, I think I could do this." And that's Nathan Moreau, and he's out of Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh, that is so cool. I've listened
Yeah.
to other podcasts, and she was talking about herself doing second shooting to learn. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I've seen like assistant photographers, things like that, but I've never like met one. So that's so cool that you got even to that chance to do that, and like kind of were taken under their wings in a sense.
Yeah, I truly was. It was so amazing. Like I learned hands-on because I am a creative. And so working with somebody to learn this big task, this big skill, is so much more helpful. And being in the moment was so much more helpful than YouTube or like hanging out with my friends in the field taking pictures,
Yeah, I mean, it all like adds up in a sense, but I totally understand, especially when it comes to technique. I actually took a photography class this past summer during COVID, and it was online, but it was cool because I got to use my boyfriend's camera. And at first I was like, oh, I don't think I like this, because honestly, I'm like, I like being the model. but I started it out, and I like was open-minded, and it was so cool. It is so difficult too. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'll just press the button and it'll be fine. Nope. It's not like Instagram photos, people. It's like you gotta like have all the settings, the lighting, the moment in time. Like it's so cool. I love it.
It takes so much practice, but
yeah,
once you get used to it, you get used to it.
Definitely. So what would you say is one word to describe your photography style or graphic design style in general?
So I think I have multiple words, but I think the one that comes to me first is authentic. And then other ones that I have are I'm very candid and and warm. So that's in tone and feel, not just colors. So, but I would say authentic for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you'll plug yourself at the end, but just looking at your Instagram and just things like that, I can totally see that through your photos. Like it's not anything like, oh, did she Photoshop that? It's like, it's so real. And I love that about your work. So like what types of, or like when did you get your first client? Can you talk to us about how you kind of started in the freelancing?
Yeah. So my first client for photography, like I said, we're just friends, but like I was leaning more towards weddings that I wanted to do. So I had my very first client was my best friend's friend, and she was a bridesmaid in her wedding. And she reached out, and I did it for like $400. And I was there all day, and I brought a second shooter and didn't pay them because I didn't know what I was doing. And this actually kind of ties in with like my craziest story was at my very first wedding that I shot. I was not prepared at all. I thought that I was, but I wasn't. And I brought one battery for my camera.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it was crazy. It died right during introductions. And so I had to like sneakily like call my second shooter and be like, come over here. You need to be in this position. And I had him take the pictures while I plugged my camera or my battery into the DJ booth and
Oh,
then fake pictures for the next half hour
oh
until
my
it
goodness.
charged. Yeah, no, after that, I went out and I bought 3 more batteries because I was never going to let that happen again.
That's so stressful. I can't even imagine.
It was crazy. But my first graphic design client before that, for a paid job, actually also has to do with a wedding. And I did wedding invitations for a girl that I went to high school with.
Mm.
And like my photography gig, I was not prepared. And I printed them on my printer at home and I cut them all by hand to
Oh
size.
my gosh.
Yep, it was crazy, but now the process is much different.
I'm sure. I mean, we all need those experiences, I think, with starting out to kind of like understand what we're doing. And I think it's so good too when people are so patient and open, especially like if it wasn't for those first clients taking you on, you wouldn't have even started right then and
Yeah, and
there.
thank God for them because I still talk to them and I still do work for them and it's just so great.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
totally get that. I still have clients that I've worked with since I started, and it's so like refreshing to have them. You've kind of been through the journey with them, and it's just so cool to have that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, so in general, nowadays, I see on your Instagram a little bit more than weddings. What genre of photography do you say you really gravitate towards now?
So I would say that wedding photography is still what I gravitate towards, but
Mm,
with COVID and everything that happened, I took on so much more just to keep my creative juices flowing because I
yeah.
was feeling in such a rut and I was feeling like I wasn't like using what I had. So I dabble in family photography, I dabble in portraits, I dabble in
Hmm.
boudoir. I would by no means say that I'm a professional boudoir photographer, but I do have fun. So
That is
there is
cool.
that. Yeah. So what gravitates towards me is love stories. So like I
Mm,
like couples of all ages, of all kinds. Like if it's just you guys getting together and you want to have a fun little couple session, let's do it. If you want me for your wedding, let's do it. Or an anniversary session. That is like what fuels my fire.
That's so cool. I love that. And good to know because maybe I can force my boyfriend one day to do that with me.
Yeah.
I'll call you up. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But that's so cool. And that you mentioned boudoir as well. My cousin Hannah McMahon is a boudoir photographer. She used to do newborns and maternity and all that, but now she does mainly boudoir. And I think it's like she said it's been around since I don't know, since cameras like existed, but it's so cool because I feel like it's having like a rebirth movement in a sense with all this women empowerment and all this cool stuff.
Self-love.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Self-love. So those are really cool things. And especially with COVID, it's interesting how you pivoted, but you're still kind of focusing on that like love in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically I just like documenting love stories. I think
Aw.
it's so fun and it's just so pure.
That is so
So
cute. I love that. I love that. So, in general, what do you think sets you apart from other graphic designers or photographers in the industry, in the area?
um I would say probably my people skills and my people skills not in a sense that like I can deal with people really well, but I can
Yeah.
connect with almost anybody. And if I can get anybody to like me, then I can get anybody to like my work.
Right.
And that's I think what sets me apart is I want to be involved. I want to be part of all of everything with you. So
Yeah. No, that's a really good thing. And I mean, guys, I just met her right now and we're connecting. Like, I can totally see that. And I love that about a lot of my guests